Hello, Los Angeles. I want to talk to you about something that doesn't always make headlines, but should. For the second year in a row, more people in our city have died in traffic collisions than from homicides. Let that sink in. In 2023, 337 lives were lost on our streets in crashes. That's more than the 327 who died from homicides. And in 2024, the trend continued. 302 traffic fatalities compared to 264 homicides. These aren't just numbers. These are sons and daughters, parents, neighbors, friends. Their lives were cut short not by crime in the traditional sense, but by preventable actions behind the wheel. And that's what makes these losses so heartbreaking. Many of them could have been avoided. Simple choices make the difference. Slow down, stay focused, drive sober, watch out for others. These aren't just good driving habits, they're life-saving decisions. On the 23rd of August, 2024, at approximately 2:35 a.m., Anthony Christopher James was departing his friend's residence when a vehicle driving at a high rate of speed collided with his vehicle. James was subsequently transported to a local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. It was later determined that the driver of the vehicle that collided with James's was driving under the influence of alcohol.
He retired August 30th and was killed that morning on the 31st.
When I met him, my daughter was 3 years old. So that was like her daddy to her, an expert bowler. So he'd be like, let's go bowling. Okay, I'll sit and watch. His sister had called me and said that he was in a bad accident. So she said, well, I'll call you back and let you know what happened. So about a good 10 minutes later, she called me back and she was like, you got to get to the hospital. And of course, when we got there, I had to wait for the doctors to come down to take me upstairs. And then we waited and waited. And the doctor came out and was like, your husband was in a bad car accident and he passed away.
My mother called me and told me that there had been an accident. And it's like, you dread those type of phone calls because that's the only moment you can reflect on. And she called me and said, he's not gonna make it. I'm like, what? What do you mean not gonna make it? So instantly I just think of my sister because they lost their son prior to a couple of years. So it's like, oh God,
I lost my best friend, and it's just not fair that he has to be gone.
Holidays, he was there, so this 4th of July is like, he missing.
His bubbly energy, his smile, it's like, it left a stain.
You hear music, he dancing.
You have to be responsible. Even the individuals that are with you need to be responsible. Take responsibility, take those keys. There's no reason that you need to get behind the wheel and drive.
On the 9th of January, 2023, at approximately 7:55 a.m., Deborah Amaya was driving her 3 children to school. As she drove through an intersection, a vehicle driving at a high rate of speed failed to yield at a red light and collided with Amaya's vehicle. Amaya and her 3 children were all critically injured and transported to a local hospital. Ultimately, her 13-year-old son, Christopher, and 1-year-old son, Damien, succumbed to their injuries. The driver of the vehicle who collided with Amaya did not stop to identify himself or render aid.
I first learned about the collision. I was dropping Julie off. Julie is Deborah's sister, Jalen's aunt, and she called me and said, Ivan, you need to come back because Deborah's been in an accident and we need to find her. At that point, they didn't know where the accident occurred. On the way there, Julie was on an app and someone did report a vehicle that matched Deborah's description, her vehicle. She said that it's reported that someone died. One of Julie's sisters called her and reported that they found Deborah, Jalen, Chris, and Damien, and they've been transported to Harbor UCLA Hospital. So that's where we headed towards. And I remember seeing Jalen's aunt walking with a doctor, and her face was just so red. Her eyes were swollen, and I knew something was bad. And she came out with the doctor, and they revealed to us that Chris didn't make it. And of course, we all lose it. And we're still trying to process, Jalen, her condition and Damien's condition and Deborah's condition.
Before the crash, I had 2 siblings, and it was easier to express myself, and if I ever felt lonely, I had company. So after the crash, it was a big change. I didn't really find a point in going to school anymore or having goals because the 2 people that I wanted to make proud weren't there anymore. So it was a really difficult time. Eventually, I was able to slowly learn how to live with it. And seeing my parents so hurt, it made me isolate myself, and it made me not want to speak about my emotions because I didn't want to make them sad or make them remember what had happened.
Losing 2 children, going to a funeral where there's 2 caskets, and you look into the casket and there's babies in there, children so young, 2 children who I was playing baseball with a couple of weeks ago, and not that long ago before the accident. I just missed them so much, and just that's what I'm trying to get over, just missing the fact that they were robbed of their lives so young. There's a huge lack in patience nowadays, especially being behind the wheel of a vehicle. The consequences can be deadly.
We talk a lot about crime, and rightfully so, but we also need to talk about what's happening on our roads. Because traffic safety isn't just a police issue, it's a community issue. It's a you and me issue. Every time we get behind the wheel, we have the power to prevent another tragedy. So please, drive like lives depend on it, because they do. Let's work together to make our streets safer for everyone. Thank you, and stay safe, Los Angeles.